Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Zach Goodman. He is a MAXOLUTION systems engineer, and we'll be discussing our MOVITRANS. Hey, Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well. So today we're going to chat a little bit about our MOVITRANS system. So if you would, just give us a brief overview of what that is real quick.
Yep. So our MOVITRANS system is basically our inductive charging system. So it's a wireless power transfer. So generally what we do is there's two main forms. We'll have either cables installed in the ground, for example, for an AGV system, or we'll install them on a rail guided for a monorail system. And then there'll be a pickup on the mobile side to transfer the energy from the cables to the system that's moving.
Okay, so first thing I picked up on, you said contactless.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying there are literally no wires connecting the two different parts and it's just running based off a induction?
Yeah. So there are two cables, or it's technically one cable actually that's looped back to the inverter for the MOVITRANS.
Okay.
And it creates a magnetic field or electromagnetic field. And that is, yes, contactless from the cables that are installed stationary to the system that's moving. And it's essentially like a transformer. So if you're familiar with the transformer, you have the two coils on either side, and then there's the electromagnetic field in the middle, and they're transferring power like that. That's essentially the same concept for MOVITRANS.
That is very cool. And so I'm just trying to grasp it in my head here. Mm-hmm. And so it sounds like they'd have to be somewhat close together to grab this field. I mean, I'm guessing they can't be 2 feet apart or anything crazy like that.
Exactly. So the tolerance is around 5 centimeters nominal for the pickup to the cables in the ground or on the MOVITRANS line. So depending on how close or far away, you'll either generate more power or less power. But the nominal is around 5 centimeters.
Which does give you a little bit of clearance, so you're not going to be worried about, small particles or anything like that.
Yep.
So you touched briefly on, in the ground and then a rail system. So it sounds like we have a few different applications. Could you just lightly touch on a few of those and maybe some of the industries they're used in?
Yep. So mainly for the ground applications will be for an AGV. For example, in our facility, in our new assembly plant, we have MOVITRANS installed to charge our AGVs that are running our production. And they could also be in the ground for a skillet line for the automotive industry. Those are the two main applications for ground MOVITRANS. And then on a rail guided system, you would have a monorail system, which would carry anything from car doors to car chassis or anything in between. And it's a little bit different shaped, but essentially it's the same concept. It's more of a hook shape. And yeah, so it's for a monorail system in the rail.
So it sounds like this is really useful when you're trying to move somewhat freely over larger distances of a almost uniform motion. So I mean that could be in a lot of different applications beyond what we just chatted about.
Yep.
And it also, I mean, it's just plain cool when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
So I mean that seems like a general overview of a MOVITRANS and kind of what we do. Do you know if it's SEW specific or if there's like other applications or folks playing in this field?
Yep. So this specific technology that we're using is our product, but from what I understand, there are other companies that do similar stuff, but it's not very widely used in most of the industry, mainly because the initial cost is a lot higher. But the main benefit is, again, the contactless energy transfer.
Right.
So for example, in a monorail system, you would use a bus bar, which is 3 physical contacts constantly rubbing against a rail to transfer electricity. And that generates carbon dust and all kinds of stuff. And it's pretty messy. So our MOVITRANS system is, you can wipe it down, you can dust it off, it can get wet because it's a cable. So as long as you don't leave a metal tool up there, then it won't heat up and it'll be fine. But the main benefit for us is the cleanliness, and it generally, from what I've seen, we're one of the only companies that do inductive power at this scale.
Well, very cool. And I mean, cleanliness in a lot of these manufacturing plants has to be up there on a priority list. So that is great to know.
Exactly.
Is there anything else we should kind of know about the MOVITRANS or any like cool little tidbits you want to touch on?
No, I think it's generally pretty straightforward. It's power contactless energy transfer. So that in itself, I think, is pretty neat.
Well, hopefully this is going to spur some questions and some conversations, and they'll just reach out to their local SEW rep. And I really appreciate your time today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.